Hi, and welcome back to the channel. We got another book review here today. This one is over the Black Hat Python 2nd edition from Scrath Press. I recently just wrapped up a series going over the first 5 chapters or so of this book. If you haven't seen the videos from that series and you're curious about this, go take a look at that playlist. I'll have a link to it. We do go over the code a bit from this book. I do some modifications to it, because one of the things with any programming book is the difference between when the author wrote it got published, and when you're actually doing it. With Python, there's been a few updates, and I tend to stay on the newer versions of Python, so little things here and there tend to change. So what's my overall impression of the book? I remember getting my hands on the digital copy of this for the first edition, and I thought it was pretty good. I heard a lot of great reviews of the first edition, and I decided to get a physical copy, and that's when I learned the second edition was out. This was actually my first book from Scrath Press. It was Scrath Press, my bad. And it's very interesting. It's the way this book, and I've read the Bug Bounty boot camp from them, and the way it seems that their books are written are very much here's someone boots on the ground in this field who does this stuff day to day, and you're learning from them. So kind of like think of on-the-job training with someone who does it every day. That tends to be the best way I can think to sum up how the writing in these books are, which is not bad. I really like, especially for this, it helps with getting you in the mindset of how to think the way you need to for doing this stuff. Okay, just real quick, I'll look a little bit over the contents here. Of course, does the standard thing. I went over setting up your Python environment, some basic networking tools that you need to know, and writing a sniffer. This is one of the funner projects I found in this book. And Chapter 4 introduces you to the Escapee library, which was new to me at the time that I originally read this, and I've done some more with this since then. It's a really, really great tool. And my last video was going over this web hackery, learning how to write Python scripts to interact with websites and stuff. I didn't go over all the code that he talks about in this chapter. I went through about half of it. I kind of left the last little bits here, the brute forcing stuff, as little tidbits for someone who wants to go get the book to play with. You see we get into extending burp proxy, which, if I'm not mistaken, normally those are Lua scripts, but we actually get into a little bit of using Python to do stuff with. GitHub commands, fun with exfiltration, Windows privilege escalation. This was actually a pretty interesting chapter, and I actually have got a few custom scripts I've made over some stuff that I've read through this. And offensive forensic, that's actually a really good chapter if forensics is something you're interested in, some little tools to learn. Definitely a chapter I'm not letting my wife read. And just to show you a bit of an example, the biggest thing here, of course, is the code blocks. And I hope you can see that pretty well. The sun's kind of doing its thing right now. They do a good job of outlining the code blocks with these lines. And I think the font they chose for the code blocks is fairly readable. And they do good indentation, so it makes it a little bit easier to follow. And I like that they make these little points here, and that they go over each of them in the preceding paragraphs to tell you what each section is, so you can kind of learn the flow of the writing and everything like that. So I really appreciate the time they took in to get the code blocks laid out in a readable way that's easy to follow. And if you're going to type out stuff, it's easy to kind of keep track with where you're at and everything. And when he gets to the section where he runs the code, you see here, he's on a Kali machine, and they have it bolded out, the line where he's typing the Python script, and then the output's pretty simple to read. And then they do include these little snip sections here where they just cut out some of the output so they don't have to fill up pages with stuff, and they can just get to the end if there's something there they want to show you. But yeah, that's pretty much how the formatting is through this book. The code blocks are the biggest thing. Like I said, I think they've done a really good job. Each section's easy to see with the bold and the slight italicization. This is a good book if you definitely want to kind of step up your Python game, learn a little bit, especially if you're wanting to get more into doing Python scripts with networking and stuff like that, which is actually something I absolutely love doing. I love interfacing with packets on the network, which I know sounds odd, but I just enjoy doing it. And web scraping Python scripts is actually kind of a fun thing to make. So this book does have dual authors, Justin and Tim, and I think they've done a fairly good job. Normally when I read a book that has multiple authors who've written different sections, it's easy to tell who wrote what. But I think overall they've done a pretty good job on keeping the kind of same format in their writing, so you don't get jarred by one writing style or the other, which was really nice. Currently, as of recording this book on Amazon, you can get it for between $38 to $40. I will leave a link to the Scrath Press. I highly recommend that you go there, visit it. especially if you already saw my review for the Bug Bounty Boot Camp. They have a lot of interesting books, and this and the other one, Packet, my bookshelf's going to be getting filled up with stuff from them, I can already tell. Yeah, that was my short and simple review of the Black Hat Python book. If it sounds like something you're interested in, please go to their website or to Amazon to get hold of a physical copy or a digital one, whichever you prefer. And I definitely would recommend getting this if you're into Python programming and you want to challenge yourself to learn about some new things and some different libraries that you may have not thought about or played around much with before. Definitely a good pickup for that. Thank you for stopping by to listen to my little book review. And if you would, please subscribe and like to the channel. It really helps out a lot. And I will see you next time. Have a good day.